Hi, I'm Jocelyn from Miami-Dade Programs.
I'm Justin. I'm a young student, and this is the school I was working with, Miami-Dade Park, and she's going to talk about what we attacked and then what we found like solutions for the weaknesses that we discussed earlier.
Okay, so basically, like around our school, we have a field. It's a large field and it's pretty residential. A lot of people usually flood in and they'll use a track and stuff. And then in front of our school, we noticed that whenever it rains, there's a lot of flooding in that specific area. So what we developed a plan. Basically, there's an open lot like right next to our school that is just grass. There's nothing going on there. So we developed basically a plan to make like kind of like a little lake/park, like in the picture that she showed us, where they had the sculpture, and then when it started raining, we saw that the area was flooded, and then the sculpture was still there. And then on 16th Street, we noticed we have a lot of elderly people in the area that don't really have modes of transportation. So we decided to put up a couple of little bus stops for them. Then this purple area here is like a public, there's power lines there, it's open area, it's a public space. So Raul came up with a plan to basically make like a little sidewalk, kind of like walk space throughout that area. And then in this little area we had another open lot that there's nothing going on there. So then Benny came up with another little tiny park to make there for elderly people that live around the area. We also developed, since this area floods a lot and our school is actually considered like a hurricane safe zone, that if there is a hurricane you could go to our school and it's safe. The architects that helped us there, they developed a plan to basically elevate 87th Avenue and 16th Street to help, because 8th Street is elevated but those two streets weren't. On 8th Street there's a lot of traffic and it's not really as safe to walk as Coral Way and 16th Street or 87th Avenue because the sidewalks are really narrow. So we couldn't really come up with a way to fix that. The only thing we could think of is that maybe we could widen 16th Street a little bit so that it could also be a way to connect to the highway, because that's the main reason why there's so much traffic on 8th Street. Other than that, like, we're open to input from you guys on ways that we could actually help develop that and improve that area. And then as you see, there's like a lot of new areas that's like all the canals and the little lake that we have behind Goodwill.
Good, excellent. Sounds like we have an architect in the making. All right, I'm going to ask our biotech team to please present their ideas. Again, students, please make sure you introduce everyone that is presenting.
You can take a minute to swallow.
My name is Chloe. Hi, my name is Emily. We're students from the UM.
My name is Carlos Barreto. I'm a student from Bio.
So we went around, we brainstormed about the ideas and the SWOT analysis, and we came up with solutions based on the conclusions that we did on the analysis, and Carlos is going to talk a little bit more about each and every one of them.
So Biotech is a really old, Richmond Heights is a very old community, which is mostly residential, single-family housing. So our border is 152nd Street and the canal. Also all the canal up to Charrette, sorry for the drawing, it was kind of cut off. So all of that, mostly residential, all of those little houses just for one family. So there was back here, there was this one school. Now it's completely empty, there's nothing there being unused. So we found many opportunities. So there's a lot of bus stops. There's two right in front of the school, here, and right next to Lincoln Martin. So the average age for a person around Richmond Heights is 39.4 years, basically 40. So the population is mostly old, mostly males too.
Oh dear.
Advanced age, if you will. So there are 2 nursing houses only, just one down here and next to Lincoln Marti, and the nearest hospital is right next to the border, which would be Jackson Hospital. Some of the stuff that we were thinking about was unblocking the canal, because the canal is surrounded by a fence. Nobody can go in it, nobody can use it at all. It's understandable by the school because it's just for safety issues, but throughout the entire thing there's nothing actually, there's no reason to be blocking it. So we were thinking about providing throughout the canal we were talking about a walkway. So every time it rained, it would flood it. Every time it would be dry, you could walk through it throughout the entire canal. There will be different stops. So if you wanted to go from here to here, you would go around all the way to the turnpike, or you have to go down here to US 101 152nd. So we're thinking about connecting both communities by a bridge or a boat transport. We're thinking too. Also the housing, some of the housing might have to go around it because we will need to give more space to the walkway and raise the wall just in case, because Richmond Heights will not be affected by the 5 feet sea level rise. It will be affected until the 10 feet level rise. So that's another opportunity we might have. We were also thinking about different rain gardens. So there's a lot of unused land that it's either a parking lot or just a bunch of trees without getting watched. So there's no actual real business in Richmond Heights. There's only a little plaza. It's a lot of parking space. Nobody actually uses it. It's a gas station, Subway, McDonald's, a gym. So we were thinking about making more business. So a community garden to absorb the rain, flood the canal, and also a few rainforests where the water will be held there just in case after the 10 feet sea level rise. And also we're thinking about few mixed-use buildings around Richmond Heights because there's, as I said, there's a lot of non-use areas, so it's residential. So what we need is more medium to high occupancy houses around the complex, so it's more resilient. We also have an electrical complex that is right at sea level, so we will have to raise it just in case, and also for resiliency causes.
All right, wonderful. I'm going to ask our South Dade Senior High group to please come up and present.
My name is Madeline. I'm a UM student.
And my name is William too. I'm here for South Dade Senior High School. Hi, my name is William too. I'm from South Dade Senior High School. Our school is probably as big a school as they can get, as they become bigger than the schools that are around here. Our 5-minute walking radius is literally our school itself. It's literally a circle around our entire school. So our area is bigger and more expanded than the majority of people. The way our city is built right now, we have 2 main streets. We have US 1 and then we have Old Dixie Highway, which is where all the towns are pretty much spread out across here. And our entire area is a suburb. It's a definition of a suburb. If you look at Homestead, it's all suburbs. So compacting it all together, making it like so, would be pretty difficult. But to begin with, we started off at the beginning, right up next to the 2 streets. We would use the canal that's connected in between here. Since the water level is rising, we would expand the canal and making it a little bit deeper so a boat can flow right through it. So we can carry people from the street, from the buses, is the bus stop as well. We can carry people from the bus stop to their homes, which would be all this way, it would be single family. But also here, we have the bus lane, this is right here, and we have a bus right here, like the main street. We have 2 main streets. It would be 288, and I'm not sure the exact number, but in that street. On this street, we would have going right down the middle. We have trees right next to each other, and the street starts off with thing with like Grand Central Station. It's like the main place, the main central hub. You go there, you get a ticket to go for the bus, you can go there and go down the 2 main roads, or you go down the canal. What?
The water tank.
The water tank is the canal. You go down there. Right behind it, we have a little park, or like a little, yeah, pretty much a little park. So we can use the canal and use the water to help preserve the park, like a little miniature park we would make there. And as we go down the street, since the water level will be rising, we'll be making taller buildings. Not necessarily taller buildings, but higher elevated buildings, so the water can't flood into there. So we have this main central place right here. These orange areas are our commercial areas, which are about to be an estimated 3 to 5 stories high. And then we have the two yellow buildings. It's kind of a mix, but it's a residential area. It's a townhouse, which will probably be about 2 stories high. But the main thing about these areas is we're going to do something like, pretty much like this picture. How this is our housing now, and then the housing here is elevated. It's kind of like, to give an example, in New York alone, or in Rockaway Beach, that after Hurricane Sandy hit them, everything was wiped out, and they're making new houses with little stands that help elevate it. They're all about 5 to 10 feet high, which would be about what we do here. We would elevate the building so the water can't flood right into there. One of the problems we have about here, especially on our school, that around our school we have sidewalks like around the school, but they're not really extended. So around these 2 main roads, we're going to add the street with the sidewalk, and then one advantage we have is we have a lot of agriculture around. So we have trees that help block it off, so people who would better commute around the area. And one other thing, we have a hospital that's located pretty far. Like right here's our school. The hospital will be located all the way over this way because the map was based on the entire place. So we put a hospital that's pretty much closer to the town. That's what it'd be about. And estimated from here to here would be about 5 minutes. And each one of these purple spots would be a stopping point for the trolleys going in between here. And one other thing, we were given South Bay, but we were supposed to cover all of Homestead. Homestead itself is very big. This is about 7% of the entire Homestead. So fitting all those people in this area would be pretty difficult. So that's what most of all these streets were, to help fill in the people, but it would be kind of hard. Right.
Done?
One more thing.
Oh, one more. But I was about to lead around the floor.
One more thing. Since we're only in this, well, it's hard for you guys to see. We're looking only about this little area. On this far area, we're on the racetrack, as you guys should know. The racetrack around this area. It's like a really bad area, or not bad. It's like a swampy area. So we would have put like little like digging holes or something, not digging holes, but little areas to hold off the water. That's why it wouldn't be as much water flooding into the city, or as much into the town area we would have. No.
So I'm going to ask the first group that's over on the right-hand side to start us off.
Great, so my name is Francisco Real.
And I'm Soledad Bottom.
And I'm Alexandra Toulouse. I'm representing University of Miami.
We're going to be presenting, we're going to be presenting Hialeah Gardens, one part. And basically we started off with the SWOT ideology and figuring out our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities and threats. What we do know is that we are a diverse area. We definitely have very
different areas within us. We have over on one side of our city, we have a lot of industrial, while on the other it's a streeter way and it's completely residential area with the schools and stuff like that. So we've had to really adapt to that by adding different streets and different ways of commuting back and forth where it's convenient for both parties.
Now, what we want to do is that we wanted to influence the idea of walking so that we remove the use of cars. And we started off with adding lots of more businesses, little areas that people would like to walk to, and maybe get a cup of coffee. We decided to close off a street here and strictly for walking, maybe add lots of more trees and just have it a very nice and presentable area for people to have, people to enjoy and walk across. We also added plentiful of parks and monuments because we want not only for people to walk through it, but we want them to feel like they have a reason to walk through the area. We want them to also enjoy walking through it, learning new things.
Exactly. Hialeah and Hialeah Gardens are two different towns, but they're right next to each other. So we do interact a lot, but we're very different. Hialeah is very, very Hispanic, while Hialeah Gardens is a little more diverse and we have different kinds of people living there. So adding a monument, like Francisco said, would attract different people to come together to see something that we could all appreciate in walking distance since we're all so close together.
And to deal with threats, or possibly the largest that we have would be from flooding, which would be from storms, hurricanes, in any case. We know that our water system is actually pretty well adapted to it already. And then we're gonna have, since we have large areas of parks and stuff, they would be able to retain most of the water, and possibly we can use it for any other, fountains and stuff that would actually make it more attractive and more
Usable.
not usable.
Pedestrian friendly.
Pedestrian friendly. There we go.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
So the water, as he said, since we do have a lot of floodings, we have a lot of streets, we would be adding more trees, as we said, and allowing it to be more pedestrian friendly so people can walk through. And we could even initiate a water reclaiming system and stuff like that so we can collect that water and continue to use it over and over again until, instead of just allowing it to sit there and evaporate and not use it and just leave it behind. So we went on to talk about the streets and how we could enhance those to make them more pedestrian friendly and more walkable. So as he said, we are going to add trees so that they're more shady. Although everything's so close together, it gets so hot during the summer, as we all know, that nobody wants to walk anywhere. So by adding trees, it'd be breezy, it would be comfortable to walk in, and everyone would want to do it. We would also add a bike lane. Our town now doesn't really have any bike lanes, and if they do, they don't connect. So you can't really use them. So we would add those throughout the whole entire city and make sure that people, instead of taking their car somewhere, they can take their bike to the park, grocery store, anywhere, and just pick up things that way.
So we went over the idea completely. We were missing lots of sidewalks. We were missing, ways, crosswalks and ways for people to connect from different areas of Hialeah. And it's not very safe place to walk if you guys have been there, especially for the elderly, especially for grandparents and stuff. So it's very hard to see, but we added more crosswalks, bridges, and areas for people to communicate a lot easier and people to walk to wherever they want to. We have a very limited amount of parks nearby, and those of you that have been to Hialeah have been to those parks. They're very desolated, not many people. I mean, it's not very developed. So by adding, as we discussed already, monuments, people would want to have a feeling of reasoning to go visit, which would
allow for for more diversity and more communities to come together and create this more of a place where everybody wants to come together and enjoy themselves while saving the environment and stuff like that, so we don't have to use cars and stuff like that. Also, there is
we have our one-way streets, or actually, not one-way, but we have streets and stuff that people, at least for the residential area, they can hear. We have our canal walk as well. So it's nice to be next to a little river, next to trees and stuff. It'll be, a pleasant area to walk through.
Mm-hmm, exactly. So yeah, it's pretty much just adding more parks and making it more walkable and more wanting people to come. I'm trying to think of a word, but wanting people to come from other places so we can all come to one place and enjoy ourselves, the monuments, parks, different things like that.
More inviting.
More inviting, yeah, more inviting to people. So yeah, that's it.
Any other comments from this group?
Good job.
My name is Julio. I'm from another group in Hialeah Gardens. My colleague Emmanuel.
My name is Shaika. I'm a young student.
And my name is Jessica.
All right. So we focus mainly on the problem that we have right now as a community. All this is our school's in the middle, and all this is residential area, and it's a lot of flooding when there's heavy rain. There's a lot of heavy rain in our area, so we focus on ways to try to find a solution to all the flooding, so all the cars, everyone can move around fluidly without a problem.
So our school is located right here, and surrounding the school we have a lot of canals and places with a lot of water. So what happens is, as you all know, in Miami, South Florida, we have a big problem with overflow, or problems when we have hurricanes, flood surges, stuff like that. So we wanted to develop a system to better control the flood and overflow of water. As you can see here, we have a canal here, here, and here, and most of the time, due to sometimes it getting clogged up and not being able to flow correctly, it gets overflow.
There's too much pollution in the canals as it is right now. So when it rains, there's no drainage system, basically, because it's all clogged up. The water does not move during the canal, so it just stays on the residential area and the cars can't get through. So what we wanted to do, we were thinking, is doing like a reservoir for the water, and in the reservoir, making it also a hydroelectric system to produce energy for all the houses around it and all the industrial areas around here. And,
as well, we also thought of it, well, if we had to live in a flooded area, how could we turn that into a positive thing? So what we thought of is, if there's an excess of water through drains or porous streets, so that the water can drain into the sewers or the canals or anything like that, we could use that water as a cooling system for houses, or we could use it as a way to clean out the sewers for any of the unsanitary things that might get clogged up or stuck in the sewers. So here we have some of the ideas that we came up with, which it shows all the areas mainly where we have flooding, which is here, 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 and here. So I think that about wraps up our presentation.
Good afternoon, my name is Renee Bello. I'm a graduate student here at the University of Miami, as well as a research assistant.
My name is Daniel Perez. I'm a junior at Hialeah Gardens Senior High School.
And I'm Roxa Garcia. I'm a junior at Hialeah Gardens Senior High School. Okay, so this is not our school. We decided to do, this is our high school, the middle school, and the elementary school up there. These are the houses. These are the
This was the single housing, and then this was a residential housing.
and then we have the parks here. Here we have other elementary schools, and here we have the canal.
Anything that's blue is all canals. So,
Here's Okeechobee, which is our major road.
the Hialeah Gardens Boulevard. So, all of this right here and a little bit over here is all industrial. So, this is all high traffic area as well as here, because these are the two main streets. And over here, so we have these points. These are all very heavy traffic areas. So traffic here gets very congested and it's very dangerous. So we started off by trying to figure out what we could do to decrease the level of flooding, because in Hialeah, when it rains, just after a few hours of heavy rain, the streets get like ankle deep with water. And even though the houses are very resistant to like storms and things like that, the streets get unusable. So what we decided was that by perforating the streets and having little reservoirs underneath, we could actually reduce the amount of water that gets overflowed. The canals, even though they're everywhere, they still can't hold that much water because the streets are not well set up for that. So over here is our school, and there's a little, right here. So this is the school, and right here is a little area that is, we're not allowed to touch it, so no projects or anything have ever been allowed to be touched. So what we decided was we could talk to the owners, because it's privately owned land, we could talk to them to set it up into like a little park, because that area is unused for anything. There's no animals or anything there. It's just unused like a little woodland. So what we decided was we would not cut down any of the trees, but we would add little paths for people to come in and walk and have like a pleasant day. And we could also put little reservoirs to also hold more water there. Another problem we had was that people are very unaware of the rising sea levels. Okay, they're unaware of the rising sea levels, so we were trying to come up with a way to inform everyone. And because we have a very Hispanic community, most people don't really read the newspapers because it's in English, so they can't understand it. And most channels aren't in Spanish either. So what they do watch is like soap operas and stuff like that, but that doesn't really educate them on what's going on in the community. So what we decided was, by here, everywhere that we have, places that we have canals, we can set up little signs that show the water level. And just by looking at that, people would understand. If the water gets too high, it will flood into the street. So they could educate themselves like that, and it would take too much.
So is that an initiative your school is going to take on?
We'll try.
Something we're trying to like convey and we're trying to come up with to see if we can actually do it. Because it's going to be really hard to implement the project.
It'd be hard to get permission and to set it up because there's a lot of canals. But if we get permission and we get a nice big enough team, we could go through with it because it would just require like a sign. It's not too much.
I mean, if that doesn't work, we can also do, because most of our parents, they watch Telemundo, and all the news channels, so we can just like do a little advertising there, and they can see it, and then since we're Hispanic, we are chismosos, and we talk to a lot of people, and we tell them stuff, so it goes on around the family, and we make our family aware of everything that's going on.
Another problem that was addressed by the other two people in this same area is that we don't have very many bike lanes. I don't know if you can tell very well here, but there's one right here and there's another one right here, and they're minuscule. They're like the size of the neighborhood maybe. So we decided to try to get more bike lanes everywhere. So we could have one on the industrial side of Okeechobee, because on this side of the canal that goes by Okeechobee, because on this side would be too dangerous because that would be right next to the street. So on this side, running by the industrial and the river, we could have a little bike lane depressed into the ground, where if it's not flooded, you could go down and go next to the water and have like a nice bike trail, and you could enjoy the scenery. Also, all these dots are areas that we would add trees because this area is kind of lacking in the greenery department. We have one major park here, and then a few, two more very minor, very, very small parks. So by adding trees, we could make the area look greener and more beautiful. Also, the bike paths would be much more prominent, running by the main streets, obviously not by the highway, but by all the major streets, and we would connect all the parks together, so you could get from one to the other.
Also, we decided to make bike paths in order for them to go to our high school, to our schools, so the kids can like ride their bikes to school, to and from every day.
Yeah, because we have, like we mentioned with the traffic, it's also a lot of students, because we have, how big is that class of seniors? 800 seniors, and most of them drive to school every day. So to get out of school is a massive problem. So if more of them can ride their bikes, that would decrease traffic as well. Also, all these orange marks are places that we would like to add sidewalks, because wherever there's a canal, there's no sidewalk. You can't walk there safely. So if we push in the fence a little bit as well, and we add a sidewalk there, it would be safer for everyone to walk.
fifth-year architecture student.
My name is Ramdan, I'm a fourth-year architecture student.
My name is Donnie, and I'm a fifth-year architecture student.
And this is TJ, who's going to represent Mass Academy.
Hello everyone. So Mass Academy is located in a kind of a different situation as the rest of the schools within this hall right here. We don't have any residential area necessarily surrounding the school, but what we do have is beaches, we have the Marina Stadium, and we have a lot of dockages. So the main problem with Key Biscayne is the evacuation route. Flooding is also a problem, but not essentially on the main highway that is located on the beach. So what we came up with, ferries. Let's take the use of what we already have in Miami-Dade County. In the Port of Miami, there is a ferry system. And on Coconut Grove, the city of Miami Hall, there is dockings where you can have ferries at. And Mercy Hospital. So we can take use of that to have evacuation or just transit on and off the key itself, so that it would essentially alleviate the traffic on the main highway. So if we have ferries, one located on Dog Beach and one located at the Marina Stadium, we can ultimately have economic development as well there as well too. We create little mini shops right here located at the Marina Stadium that is not being used right now. It has not been used for the last, since I believe 1992 when Hurricane Andrew came, hasn't been used. We used it recently for the Miami Boat Show, but not the marina itself we have not used. So if we use this, that can send people to downtown, to the downtown Port of Miami station. We can have big bus tours that go around to do downtown. There's Macy's downtown. There's a lot of stores downtown. Also, on the other side, we can go down to Coconut Grove, the park of Coconut Grove, where since we see more economic development, and we can get fast cutters that the Coast Guard use for emergency transit systems to go back and forth to Mercy Hospital as well. Over here located, we have a water plant system that the city of Miami brings in to the key to filtrate water and clean it up. We can create a little hangar station, essentially, not a big hangar for like helicopters in, but a big umbrella to where we can give concerts, we can give information to the community and give back, and just a place, a safe holding area for those who cannot essentially evacuate the key as fast as possible with our new transit system. But it will, a gathering location that to have everyone in one spot so that we can get everybody off the key as well. So we're going to, in effort to do that, we're going to create more lanes so that the bikers is a big issue. Everyone's heard about the bikers getting ran over by cars on the key. Anybody has heard that in the news? That happens quite often. And I drive to school every day. They kind of just do whatever they want to do. But it's illegal for them to drive on packs. It's supposed to be a one line, but they still do as they please. So that's one part of the key. So let's take it over to a little drawing that we had to do since we weren't provided with the map of the second half of the key. The residential area. We are not highly populated, but we're populated dense. We're super dense in population, meaning that we don't have a lot of space and people aren't spread out there in one little coagulated area. So what we essentially decided to keep the way the key is set up, and it's the one main highway going through. But here, in these little orange spots, I don't know if everyone, let me just take it off for that. Everyone can see. These little orange dots is going to be commercial development so that, you know, mom and pop businesses can continue to exponentialize and grow, and it's a market for everybody out there. We're going to create a little mini urgent care, you know, that, you know, if you break your arm, you don't have to necessarily leave the key, go all the way off the key just to, you know, get your arm fixed and all the good stuff. And we're going to have a town hall center located in the middle, and, you know, schools and different things that they're already located on the key, but more centralized and easier to get a maneuver and stuff. Another problem is that the key is 5 feet above sea level. So how can we counteract this? We can create houses on stilts like Key West has done. It's already been done. Why reinvent the wheel when it's already been done already as well? Let's build houses like a little stilt. Just build it up, and then your actual houses will be on top of the stilt so that, you know, water can move around. On the key, they already have things invented to kick back this thing. On the road, you have one main highway, and then a space in between, and then you have an actual sidewalk. There's a little like half pipe situation going on there where it drains the water off the key. Not off the key, but, you know, off the road so to prevent flooding from the key. So a lot of things, I'm sorry, that's just in my way now. we have a main community center already on the key. We want to make it bigger and better. How can we improve this? We can add more trees. Add more trees. What kind of trees? Trees to make shading so that people don't get skin burn from the rays hitting through the ozone layer. We want to add a, sorry, take it off here. This is the park, and we want to add a separation between the playground and the actual field. So if there's a soccer game going on, we don't get kicked in the head. Our little kids, like, come on, they're playing. You don't want to get kicked by the ball, but you want to still have opportunity for them to play at the same exact time as well on the playground. So let's go from that. And also, okay, we talked about this. And, you know, a lot of things we're going to increase are the bus routes. So, there's one bus that goes on Key Biscayne, the B bus. And if you're late for the school bus, that's your only option. And it comes at a height of traffic is every 30 minutes, and on the downtime, an hour. What if you have an interview to go to? You don't necessarily always have a car in Miami-Dade, and Uber is not heavily on the key as well. So, you know, we want to increase the bus routes, and, you know, I think with the ferries as well will aid in this process, you know, of getting people on and off the key and bringing business back to the key, and, you know, more people want to. You have foreigners that come over that want to go to Crandon Park and build bags, but they just can't because, you know, the public transportation is not the best in Miami-Dade County, and I think with these efforts would increase it, and, you know, just things of that nature. Thank you.
Okay, so bringing back what he just discussed about building on stilts. So Key Biscayne is a barrier island. The soil is not strong, it's basically sand. And what many students brought into drawings were how these houses can be raised and to allow water to go through, so that even if it's not just sea level rise or storm surges or just flooding, how people who already live there can be resilient to what's there to come in the future. So a lot of people were interested in evacuation and transportation to and from Key Biscayne, which I think TJ emphasized. So their main priority was to create these evacuation centers around the village and to start building up what's existing or modifying what's already there.
Promoting different types of buildings, talking about the lifting everything. It seems like you guys already started building typologies for the different architecture that you will be resilient, will be able to bounce back given a flood. And then you mentioned Key West as a precedent. But I think you guys even went to the level of actually drawing floor plans or coming up with a different...
Yeah, we did here. This one right here, we actually drew like how we could look at it.
Does that tie in with the axle?
So the floor plan and this axle, I think, were drawn by different students. The floor plan is trying to symbolize so the idea of building on stilts or pillars. So they emphasize the structure in the plan more than anything. How it's mainly on the corners to support and lift up, which is interesting because, you know, they're a science-based school and they're learning about architecture at the same time.
Well, thank you so much. This is very...
It's been exciting to see how this team tackled the macro issues of the site, of an entire island, if you will, issues related to transportation and natural systems as well as building types. And perhaps in their next iteration, they can also think about how natural systems can reinforce and make them more resilient, because you are the one example that we have that's on the coastal region. So that would be a recommendation for this team moving forward. For this team, as you're starting to move forward, I think that we can suggest that continue to look at different ways, be inspired by the different ways in which these open public spaces can actually also act as a barrier to protect us from things such as floods and such as the rains and eventual sea level rise, even through the canal systems that we have that we know will be impacted. So think about those drawings that we showed you earlier on. I love the idea of these public spaces and new places for our communities to congregate. and to find and have a heart and an identity. Many of you should think about how those could become our new resiliency centers, right? Let's start using that word. Let's think about how community centers, town centers are actually going to evolve into becoming our resiliency center. So if there were some sort of catastrophic event, would we know where to go? Those are the types of things that we want to make sure that we're all thinking about, so that we have a heart to our community that on a day-to-day basis gives us a place to feel like we are one community, that brings us together, that serves us with different types of amenities, businesses, civic buildings, parks, etc. But that if there were ever an emergency, that we would know where to go get help, right? So think about that as you're moving forward. I think that we're all so impressed by what we've seen on the walls. I'll give Jose the final closing remarks. But I know that from our perspective as faculty here at the School of Architecture, we see budding architects all around the room. We're very impressed with how you've thought about these problems and how you've tackled them in such a short amount of time. So we look forward to seeing your presentations on June 13th. We hope that you will continue to become engaged with this topic and find ways of expressing your concerns and your ideas to those that are in your school, your peers, your faculty, at home, and your community leaders. Okay? Remember what I said during the presentation. Each one of us is part of the problem. Each one of us has the potential of being part of the solution. Stop thinking about this as someone else's mandate. Start thinking about it as your problem, your family solution. Okay? Through that kind of ownership, we can be more resilient. South Florida will be more resilient if each and every one of you in this room become the new voices within your small neighborhoods, large schools, wherever it may be, and communicate. Let's talk to others about how all of us need to partner in being part of a resilient South Florida. That said, I want to, before Mr. Cintron from HUD gives us the final words, I want to ask everyone that once we're done in here, we're actually going to step outside through that door in front of the building that says School of Architecture, and we're going to take a group picture. I'm going to ask you to be together in that picture, but I want you all mixed up. I want you with people around you that you don't know, okay? But I want to see all the masked kids in one place and all the kids from Hialeah Gardens in another. I want to see you all mixed up. I'm going to ask you to line up in 3 rows. I'm going to ask you to have a row of you sitting down on the ground, a row of you that are kneeling, and a row of you that are standing up, okay? And we want to take this picture because we want to remember this very special day when we all came together and made a commitment to be the leaders that we know you have the potential to be. So that when you look back, you can say, that's the day I decided that I control climate change.
So I have a few takeaways from today. First takeaway, when your teachers said that you were ready, willing, able, and worthy, they were absolutely right. I applaud all of you for the way you have participated today. And for those of you who presented, I know how hard that is to stand in front of 100 people and talk extemporaneously. I know how hard that is because I've been doing it for many, many years, and I still don't get over the nervousness when I speak. I can be even nervous today, right now, talking to y'all. And you get over it, and you get your point across and you present. Some of the other takeaways I have are, even though you were dealing with the microcosm of your school sites, there were themes that came through You took the words of Dr. Chow when she said, you either adapt or you mitigate, or you found ways to adapt, you found ways to mitigate. And the basic underlying planning is there. You talked about healthcare. Almost every one of you talked about wellness, whether you realize it or not, you probably did, but biking trails, walking trails, hospitals being close to where the people are, those are all wellness issues. That's part of building a resilient community. You talked about economic development issues, you talked about jobs, you talked about equity. Every one of you took these important issues when you talk about building resilient communities and put it in your plan. In almost every plan, there was something that dealt with those issues. Dealing with water, dealing with adaptive construction, to deal with what we've already know is coming. When we get hit by that hurricane, when we get hit by storm surge, we already know that's coming. Whether we think we're safe because we're inland and highly regarded, you realize we're not. When Donald Trump says he's going to build a wall to protect his golf course in Doral, that's not going to protect his golf course in Doral because the water's coming up from the ground. Right? There'll be no golf playing on the Doral golf course by simply building a fence or building a wall. I'm not talking about the wall in Mexico, I'm talking about the wall to protect you. Trying not to get political here, but there are also clearly some folks in this room who are, vote for me and I'll set you free. I vote for you, TJ. I vote for you. Vote for you. So, I think there are many, many ways that we can impact the world in which we live. Oh, there was one other thing that's very near and dear to my heart. Almost every one of you talked about taking care of the elderly. Thank you very much. Because my daughter moved to LA, she's not going to be taking care of me, so you guys have to be planning for me on her behalf. I appreciate that. It was, so we put this idea on the wall several months ago, talked about it with your teachers, who really helped lead us to where we are today. Once again, I want to thank them for their leadership. I want to thank them for their passion and for their caring for all of you. They really believe in you, and we can see why today. So believe in yourselves. Believe in yourselves. Become a part of the solution. You already are that. You're here because somebody believes in you. Believe in yourselves. And we will live in a better world, and I'll actually have a nice, affordable place to live once I retire, right? Okay, that's my word. Now, June 13th, hold the applause, hold the applause. June 13th, we're going to have the actual convening, and we're going to have a smaller group of you, because we're going to have in the same place, and we can only seat about 100. A smaller group of you will come back here, hopefully, on June 13th, and work together on taking some of these ideas that you're going to continue to work with at school about your local places, and perhaps extract from that an overview of planning principles, of resilience principles that apply to your school neighborhoods, but also apply in general. And a smaller group of you from that day will present to the assembled crowd your thoughts. Because when I said to you that you are worthy, because you are worthy of being listened to as well. And so when you go back to your schools, you work on this a little more. When you come back on the 13th, you'll be here again, working on making our presentation, putting the finishing touches on a presentation to our group at our convening. That convening is how we will inform our Secretary of Housing, who is the United States representative to Habitat 3 in Quito, Ecuador, in October. It will help inform his ideas and his position. And there are lots of these going around, right? So we have 5 different convenings going on. I'm proud to say that the Miami convening is the only convening that included young people as a big part of what we want him to hear. Other people have all the experts, and we'll have experts here on June 13th too. But I'm also interested in the budding experts, and that's all of you. So thank you for your work today. Thank you for being here today. and look forward so that we all can protect ourselves.
So just some shop matters to be taken care of. We're going to go outside very quickly, take that photograph, and then we're going to come back in. I'm going to ask each of the teachers in each of the groups that before any of the documents that are on the walls are removed, that you as teachers make sure that every single drawing, every single SWOT, every single sketch has been photographed before it comes down from these walls, so that we have a record of what was done today. We ask you to share that with us. Gloria and I will figure out how to make that happen. But we would like to keep these documents as a record of what occurred today. So please make sure that that happens before you leave. And then we know that you need to get back to your campuses. So once we've had that photograph, once those images have been photographed, we ask you to take them down and take them with you and to continue to develop your ideas. Typically, from this point until we have a final vision report, we usually ask every single person to go back, break up, and take responsibility for developing the ideas. And that with that, we get greater kind of participation moving forward. And that then all of that is pulled together by your teachers, and they will help you to present it on June 13th. Okay? If you have any questions, we remain at your disposal here at the School of Architecture at the University of Miami, as well as the HUD local office. And so if you need anything from us between now and June 13th, please do feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help you further your ideas, okay?
One last shout out. All the folks from UM, including their graduate students that helped facilitate today, thank you. Thank you so much. You made it all happen.